All right. Hello, and welcome. We are so happy that you guys decided to join us on today. And we are talking about emotional wellness and emotional intelligence. Like, these are some major buzzwords that are going around today. But honestly, what is it? As a physician, I'm like, that sounds really nice and all, but what exactly is it? And what does it look like if I don't have it? Now, I know you guys have probably seen all the big things when people are not emotionally stable. Like, we see the big tantrums and the fits and all that stuff, and you can point it out and say, something's not right. Their emotions are all over the place. But it actually can show up in subtle ways, and you may not even be aware of it, and it can be affecting your relationship. So, we are going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about all of that today and more. So, this is Lessons Beyond the Stethoscope, and here we provide you with some practical health tips and tools that you can use in your everyday life because we understand that life affects your health. If this is your first time joining, I am Dr. Ashley Booth. I'm a board certified family medicine physician, and I am your host on today. And today we have joining us Dr. Kendrick Bailey. This is episode 19, Emotional Wellness, Key to Healthy Relationships and Healthy You. As I stated, Dr. Bailey is joining us. He is a licensed professional counselor, and he's also the co-owner of iProgress. He's also an author and the author of A Journey to Healthy Relationships. Now, this is doing something weird on here, but I actually do have the book, so I understand what's in here, and it's amazing. But it's a journey to healthy relationships, healthy you. And we are doing a giveaway. So if you didn't catch us on social media earlier, then you can go ahead and share and tag. That way we know that you did it. But share and tag, so that way you can be entered to win the book. And I'm telling you, if you get it, you do the things in it, you are going to see the changes that are going to happen. And Dr. Bailey uses this as one of his tools because he is so committed to helping people on their journey to self improvement and to developing innovative strategies for emotional wellness. So, thank you so much for joining us on today, Dr. Bailey.
Thank you for having me, Dr. Booth.
You're welcome. Now, guys, you know how we do. If you have any questions or comments throughout this, be sure to drop them in the chat and we will do what we can to answer them. Also, be sure to subscribe if you haven't already done so. Hit the notification bell so that way you will know when we go live and we put out new content. But I do not want to hold this up any further because I want to just start talking about this and start talking about it from the beginning and just the basics. That's how I always want to break it down, is thinking about the basics. So, Dr. Bailey, what exactly are emotions? I think we have an idea of what it is, but I don't know if we truly understand and fully know like what our emotions are.
Okay, great question. In working with my clients, I always tell people that emotions are just alarms. And so alarms typically tell us things. So when we think about a fire alarm, it typically signifies smoke. But when we look at our body, emotions typically tell us when we're anxious, we're nervous, we're sad. It tells us that something emotional is going on with us, and we have to identify what the root cause of it is. And so typically in working with people, I always take them back in time, what happened before they experienced certain things so they can be more aware. Awareness is the biggest thing when it comes to our emotions because a lot of emotions look like different things. I used the example when someone slams their hand in the door, you often, get angry, but the real emotion is pain. And so pain and anger resembles one another. And so we have to be able to distinguish the difference between it so we can recognize what we're currently going through.
I love that explanation, and I was hoping that you were going to do that again today because when we were talking previously about it, I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's really good." A lot of times we see these behaviors, they present themselves a certain way, but like you said, if you go back and peel it back, you actually can look a little deeper and see exactly what it is. So, thinking about emotions, what exactly is emotional intelligence or emotional wellness? What is that?
Okay. Emotional intelligence is how well you know yourself, how well you identify with your emotions, how comfortable you are in different settings with people. So knowing in conversations, this the relational intelligence piece is what cues people are giving off. Because a lot of times we take things out of context when we're having discussions, and emotional and a relational intelligent person understands what questions they need to ask to get clarity, to gain more understanding, but they also aren't easily offended by certain things that they may, have in normal conversations. And so an emotionally aware person is aware of what they're giving off, but they also aware of what people are saying to them as well.
Now I see what you're saying when you talk about like emotional wellness and like healthy relationships, healthy you. So seems like once you know like your emotions and what's going on, like you said, you don't get easily offended and you're able to figure out, okay, these are the questions that I need to ask. Then when I'm looking at that, one of my things is as a licensed professional counselor, how are people, because I know what you're saying, but that may not be why people are calling you. It may be showing up in a more subtle way or different way when they call your office to make an appointment and say, hey, this is what's going on. So what exactly, or what are some things that people are actually calling about and that you're seeing and how this is showing up in their life?
Okay. And over the past 6 months, a lot of clients have been coming to me because they think they're angry, and they want anger management, treatment. And as I kind of dive into asking them questions about what's happening in their life, any major life stressors, life changes, things like that, they start to tell me what their experiences are. And so I help them understand, hey, it's not that you're angry, you're dealing with sadness, or you've been hurt, and you're using anger to express yourself. And so if anger is our dominant emotion, that's what people are going to see, and people are going to say we're angry. And because most of the time we're not comfortable being vulnerable and showing people the hurt that we experience or the pain, so people get, our anger. And so just educating them about the importance of being using vulnerability as a strength and being okay with what they experience, but learning how to manage it. That way, they're not letting their emotions dictate what they do or what they think. They have more of, they're more able to be in the driver's seat and understand and process and be able to extinguish what's happening with them.
Mm. And with that, and I'm gonna try to remember to come back to it because I know one of the things that you talk about is kind of the goal is people being able to manage themselves. They should be able to get to the point where they can kind of manage their emotions, understand what's happening, that sort of thing. But before they get to that, I would imagine that there are some challenges that people face. So, like you said, they come in because I have anger management. I am snapping on people all the time. I need you to help me with anger management. But then you do the questions and try to take them back. Okay, this may not necessarily be what this is. This is just your reaction to it. But what are the challenges that you see that people face trying to get to that point to say, okay, actually, it could be something else?
But helping them become aware. And so with awareness is a lot to it. So awareness in helping people understand how they got to who they are, we have to look at family dynamics. We have to look at their environment. We have to look at stress, and we have to look at what they know about themselves. And then through looking at their history and taking them back at different points in their lives when they noticed it, and then to kind of bring it back to the current place. Okay, this was happening to me 10 years ago, and this is what I did. Now this is happening again. Okay, what's going on? Okay, I'm under more stress and pressure at work, and I'm overwhelmed with being able to perform, and I don't know how to ask for help. And so sometimes people get frustrated and anger because they want help, but they don't know how to ask for help. And so that has to do with emotional intelligence as well. If we're used to being in a dominant position of giving and taking care of everything, then we don't have a good relationship with receiving, so asking for what we need. And sometimes, you know, people struggle, they looking for them and other people, and we have to learn how to ask to get the support we need, and then we have to know what people are capable and willing of giving.
I like the terms that you use about vulnerability because I think that is key, especially like you said, for people who are used to being the doers. I always do this. I take care of the things, I do the things. I'm supposed to be the one to handle all the things. And then to know that now I have to ask for help for people who are usually in that position is very difficult to ask for help because they are the helpers, they are the doers. So knowing, like you said, the one of those challenges could be just coming to the realization, I need some help. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think for some reason there's this narrative that has been put out that, you know, strong means that I don't need help and I can do it all. And I must be weak if I'm vulnerable, but not necessarily, because in those moments, that's where you get the help, you get the change, and you can start to see the transformations. And so, speaking of transformations, what exactly are you starting to see? Like once people make that realization, I am aware, I have realized that this is a challenge and I'm trying to work through it and I'm doing the things, then what are some of the transformations that you've noticed with people?
It's like the light bulb goes off for them, and they understand that things they once thought were problematic and they couldn't solve actually have real simple um, processes when you actually apply these, measures. And so think about you and I, both of us are in the helping profession, and we're experts at what we do. And so a lot of times that's what people operate from, being the expert. And I tell people all the time, every day we're the student, but we're also the teacher. So just as we're giving lessons, we're also learning lessons. And we can't ever get out of alignment in the position where we can't learn or we can't ask for what we need, because then sometimes that's why we get cut off from the things that we need the most. And I try to the same things I work with my clients with, I practice those same things in my life. I have to make sure that I'm balancing giving, but also receiving. And receiving, it just could be asking for information or giving yourself permission to take off when you've had a long day. And those are the experiences I'm seeing with some of my clients. A lot of people are dealing with burnout from work, or being overwhelmed, being stressed, and not knowing how to take a break. And so when we always operate from the expert, we don't give ourselves permission to get rest, and that may be what we need to actually be restored and bounce back. So those simple things and having those conversations with people, a lot of time flip the script with them, and they understand that they're not invincible, and that they do need to rest, and they do need to focus on their spiritual, mental, emotional, physical, relational, financial, or purposeful well-being.
Mm, that's good. I like that. Like being the teacher, but then at some moments you have to realize that I need to be a student, and to be a better teacher, you have to learn. Like there are things that you and I are both having to continue to learn over time to make sure that we are up to date on certain things that are going on, to make sure that we are meeting people's needs, because what people needed 10 years ago may not be the same thing that they need today because technology is changing and all of that. So that's a good way for people to say, okay, this makes sense. Like I can be the teacher, but then also at times I have to be like the student to be able to implement some of these things. And to implement, I'm going to come back and refer back to your book. I know that this book has some great information in it to be able to help people to start working on that journey, because it truly is a journey. Because if you think about it, we're having to go back to childhood and all that stuff and become aware of that. Talk a little bit to the viewers and let them know, how does the book help them to be able to start taking those steps?
Okay. Well, I wanted to take a really simple yet methodical approach to helping people change. And so in the book, I focus on asking people questions over the course of 52 weeks, questions that we don't often think about. So simple things about, our definitions of what relationship is, and then points in our lives where we felt like we've been hurt or we've been taken advantage of, or why are we afraid to be vulnerable, or thinking about, the happiest moments in their life. Those simple questions help to move people back and forth so they can see what they were like at their best, but they also can see what they're like at their worst. And then based off what was happening in their environment, they can become more aware of what kind of contributed to the challenges they experienced. And so all that's doing, it's helping people become a master of their emotions. It's
Mhm.
equipping them with knowledge, it's equipping them with tools that they already have what they need to take care of themselves, but they may not be accessing the different parts of their brain or the different parts of their support system to gain what they need.
Mm. And that's a good point too, that you say that people have what you need. And I've been trying to receive that word for myself, because a lot of times we go out and we look for all these other things, but like you said, you already have what you need. It's just becoming aware of what's there, and then what you can do about it. One of the things I want to do, I want to shift. Thank you, because I want to say that was good. They appreciate that point. One of the things I want to do, I want to shift gears just a little bit and talk about just you being a licensed professional counselor in general, and kind of like what you see. And one of the things that I know that comes up once people are seeking the help, and they maybe they'll get a diagnosis or something like that, and they are like, well, this is who I am, this must be who I am, and what I am supposed to be for the rest of my life, and that's just it, I'm my diagnosis. And I see that as well. I'm like, oh, we got to work through this. And I like your point where you say you are not your diagnosis. So talk to me a little bit more about that and how you help people kind of make that transition.
Yeah. So you're not your diagnosis. Typically in the work we do, we have to give people a diagnosis to be reimbursed through insurance companies. And what I tell people is not to get so wrapped up in a diagnosis, but focus on the holistic perspective. So if I diagnose someone with anxiety or depression, it's more factors that contributing to their anxiety or depression. So we look at it from the spiritual, mental, emotional, physical, relational, financial, and purposeful aspect. Is what's happening in their environment, what's going on in their families, so what's going on at work. So it's so many external things that they're intaking internally that's contributing to the anxiety or depression. So helping them understand what anxiety looks like in them, because it looks different in all people. Sometimes anxiety is shoulders being tense and numb. Sometimes it's butterflies in your stomach. Sometimes it's sweating profusely. Sometimes it's getting anxious and nervous. Sometimes it's stuttering or speaking faster. Sometimes it's just being uncomfortable going out in different places. And so knowing that about themselves is they have the power to manage anxiety by doing things instead of avoiding. Avoidance always exacerbates people's symptoms, but learning how to expose yourself to them and manage it over time, you can have long term success. So it doesn't mean that you may get rid of all of the symptoms, but if my symptoms started out at 100 and by the end of treatment they're down to a 35, well, that's a lot better and that's more manageable. And someone feels like they can be more confident in tackling life and making it through the challenges of the chaos.
You gave some great points, because holistic care, which is one of the things that I discuss with people all the time, we have to look at the full picture. Some people say, well, high blood pressure. I was like, yes, but what is going on in your life right now? Is it because there are some stressors? Like, all of these different things come and can affect you. Again, life can affect your health and can affect certain things that are going on with you. So like you said, once you get to the root of it, you start to dissect it and see what's going on. You don't avoid it. And I'm going to say it for the people in the back and for myself. that not to avoid what's going on, because it's easy to, you're like, I don't want to hear it, la la la, I don't want to see it, I want to hear, I want to deal with that right now. But like you said, avoiding it can then make that even worse because you're not dealing with it. So being able to say, listen, okay, I'm gonna, attack this head on, and this is how I'm going to face it. So those are some excellent points about how to approach it. So again, like he said, you are not your diagnosis, and there is the holistic thing to look at it and just look at the whole picture of it all so that you can get to the root of it. Um, One quick thing too is that I know that there's some parents who are watching, and as you said, as adults, we go back to that childhood picture and say, okay, why are these things happening? And what can I do to figure out this is when this started or whatever? Then for parents who are watching and they're trying to help their children to have some better emotional wellness and some emotional intelligence, do you have some tips or things to just kind of help guide them a little bit on that?
Yes. So definitely pay attention to what kids experience at school. I think, especially in this day and age, in performance and testing, we instill some of the anxiety that kids experience because we're so focused on performance, but because performance yields benefits for other things. And some of the adolescents and young kids that I see, those are some of the biggest things. So helping them to identify that everybody's an expert in something, and our job as parents and leaders and experts is to help people find how they learn, but what they're great at. And then with emotional and relational intelligence is refining the areas of growth. I don't like to use weakness, so I call them areas of growth. So I already have strengths. Now let's work on the areas of growth. And sometimes it's implementing schedules. Sometimes it's breaking things down in small increments for individuals that may be dealing with anxiety or ADHD or other symptoms related to performance. Sometimes it's just things are so fast paced. You have to teach them a system and how to win. And once they figure out how to win and learn, it's their ripple effect. That light bulb goes off, and it's able to transcend to other areas of their life. And so it's simple things that yields results with people, not the big things. Because if
Mm,
we wait to the big thing, we may miss all the small steps or the process. And so I tell people the process is more important than the destination. And so
mm.
we get tunnel vision focusing on the destination, and we forget the process. And that was the way to teach us how to be successful and master life. So get caught up in the process because destinations change throughout our lives.
That is so good. I really, really like that because it goes back to like what your book says and it being a journey. And that's another thing that's been coming to me lately is just enjoy the journey. You're going to get to your destination. Whatever your destination is, you are going to get there, but not having that tunnel vision where you miss everything else, all these lessons that you are learning and the things that are helping you grow and showing that you are getting better, and that there's small things along the way that if you just see, oh, okay, you know what? I actually did that in one take this time instead of 10 or whatever. Like seeing your progress slowly over time will actually really help make that difference. So I appreciate that. And the other thing that I got from what you said too is with parents, and there was something that I read, I have to paraphrase it, but basically, we have these dreams and hopes for our children, but from what I'm getting from you is that our job is to find out what are our children's dreams and hopes, and where do they want to go. And then our job is to try to help them get there. So we can't get so distracted on, oh well, I know that you are going to do this, and you're going to be, like you said, performance based, and I know you're going to be great at this, and so we're just going to go full steam ahead when your child is looking like, I don't like that. I really don't.
Mhm.
I really don't want to do it, right?
Yeah.
So that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
we see it in kids, and then We see it in the other population that I serve a lot. People the ages of 18 to 44, when they're trying to figure out what they want to do in life. And I believe everybody has a purpose. Everybody was destined to be great, and we can be successful at a lot of things, but success doesn't equate to fulfillment. So a lot of people that I see want to change careers later on in life as well. And so sometimes we have to make sure that we encourage our children and encourage clients to learn to let their voice be the dominant voice in their life. Because with emotional relational intelligence, remember we talked about family dynamics. Well, a lot of times we make decisions based off of other people's voices, and then we may have regret. And so that's one of the things that I appreciate about my parents. They never told my brother and I what to be in life. You know, we figured out what we wanted to do, and then they helped us, get there. And I knew when I was like 11 or 12 that I was going to be in this profession. At one time, I thought I was going to be a psychologist. I just flipped a little bit and came a counselor. And so we have to start teaching early in our kids that dreams are important, help them learn how to refine their dreams by making smart goals, but also letting them learn how to deal with adversity and challenges. Because when we fix things for everybody, especially in our profession, then people become dependent on us. But when we teach people how to be, when people are students and teachers, they learn how to master things, and masters become teachers. That's all a
Mm,
master is a teacher. You've gotten a level of expertise, and you're able to share that information and that knowledge with others. And your way is a way, but it may be a thousand ways to do it. Hey, this is how I did it. That starts the conversation for people gaining access to multiple ways of doing things.
that's awesome. And a lot of people in the chat are appreciating all these gems that you are dropping on us today. And again, I appreciate it too. Um, the other thing I wanted to just ask if you had any other tips and comments that you like to add for today. It's like, oh, I want to say this and didn't get to say it. Is there anything else that you like to talk to us about?
Yes, so I would tell, any adult, watch out for the inner critic.
Mm,
Always be aware of the imposter within you. And the easy way I try to explain imposter syndrome to people is, think about an actor or actress. Everybody plays a role, but sometimes we get lost in playing roles that may not be beneficial for us. So in one area, this role is important, but if I'm playing so many roles, I've lost my identity. I don't know who I am, and so I'm always seeking externally for the answer. And so everybody need to, focus on looking in the mirror every day and reflecting to see who they are. How have they developed over the course of their life, and then what are their goals for the next 5 years. And I encourage everybody to have a plan or vision for their life. Also, prepare for challenges and obstacles, and make sure they're grounded in, in what they believe in, but also what they're doing. And
mm,
look to self to find some of the answers. So when you talk to professionals like you and I, you already have an idea of what's going on. Because I tell people all the time, I'm not the expert when they see me. They're the expert because I don't want them to see me for a lifetime. I want them to see me for the amount of time they need to get back on track, to get back in alignment, and where they can manage their, life circumstantial concerns on their own, and they're confident and they're resilient and they're aware of what happens next.
mm. They are absolutely loving what you're saying because they are saying I needed to hear that. They are loving what you're saying, and it is being greatly received. I mean, even for me, there are a lot of gems that you're saying because imposter syndrome shows up at a lot of places for a lot of people, especially when you're getting ready to enter into something new that you haven't done, that your family hasn't done, and it's like, I'm trying to do this thing. Am I really supposed to do this, or am I supposed to be here? And so you start having those thoughts of, am I supposed to? When, like you said, if that's what you're supposed to do, we have these dreams, now you have these visions, and then go ahead and take the action to put it in place. So I absolutely appreciate that. Let them know where they can find you, because people are going to want to find you. So let them know where they can find you.
All right. So people can find me on. I have a business page on Facebook. It's I Progress. People can find me on there. I share information on there as well, and then people can get contact me via Instagram or my website iprogress.cc. So my website is iprogress.cc. It gives you a chance to kind of see some of the things that I do. People also can find me on Psychology Today, Kendrick Bailey, the Life Doctor, and all I focus on is helping people from a holistic perspective find ways to heal, find their purpose, and be the best version of themselves. That's in simple terms. That's all I do.
But it is of great magnitude. It's very simple, but I know that you are having a great impact because of just the few gems that you dropped on us today. I know people are really taking that and saying, okay, this was for me, and these are some things that I'm going to do. And like I said, you can always go and get his book. I put it in the thing where you guys were able to like click on and watch. It is a journey to healthy relationships, healthy you. So you can go ahead and you can find that with Dr. Kendrick Bailey. It's on Amazon. The other thing is, I am doing a giveaway, so if you share and tag and let me know that you shared this, then you can be entered to win as well. So be sure that you guys do that, get this information, because it is going to help you put those steps into place. But thank you again, Dr. Bailey, for joining us on today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, and I appreciate all the great comments. And if you need anything from me in the future, Dr. Boot, don't hesitate to email, call, whatever.
I sure will. Well, you guys, thank you so much again for tuning in. We really appreciate it. I really appreciate all the comments because it lets us know that you truly are getting something from this. And until next time, take care. And we are wishing you healing. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.